I think it's fair to say that we are at a turning point in Europe today, and this turning point is here because of many reasons. First of all, we do have a new Commission, new Parliament, a new Commission, soon to come the Polish presidency of the European Council, which I believe will be extremely important to move the needles from a kind of a tech policies perspective. But also, it is a turning point if you look at where economy is from where Europe is, sorry, from an economic perspective. What we see more and more is that, unfortunately, Europe is kind of lacking behind in terms of competitiveness. And obviously, we as Meta are not the only ones saying so. If you look at the Letta report, the Draghi report, the outcome of these reports is always the same. I'll give you a very concrete example. A few years ago, if you look at the GDP per capita of the United States and the GDP per capita of Europe, it was exactly the same. Today, the GDP per capita of the United States is twice as the one of Europeans. And if you look at, I don't know, the 10 biggest tech companies in the world, none is European. If you look at, let's say, private investments in AI, the ratio between the investments in the US and Europe is 20-1. And so now that we see that indeed Europe is lagging behind, the question is why? And from our perspective, obviously it is because there is a kind of a lack of embracement of new technologies in Europe. And the reason for that is what some call the Brussels effect, right? I think it's fair to say that we've seen a tsunami of regulations in the past term of the European Commission, of digital regulations. And whereas there is a kind of consensus to say that these regulations were needed, now the big question is, how will these regulations be implemented? Will they be implemented in a way to allow AI, because it is one of the big topics now, AI to grow and to develop in Europe? And this is where we kind of see that increasingly we don't know. We just don't know. We don't know how to interpret the regulations. We have a lack of predictability. We also have a lack of unification of the European market. There is still plenty of fragmentation. And what I'm talking to you here is not only conceptual. I mean, there are very concrete consequences of that. And we see an increasing amount of companies that are just not launching their AR-driven products in Europe because precisely this lack of predictability, this lack of understanding of how the regulations should be understood.
We do see AI as a technology that drives productivity mainly. In our sector, which is the tourism sector, the majority of our partners are SMEs and small independent companies. And they currently do not rely on digital tools like AI to boost their productivity, and we see that there is a gap that can be closed when using AI. I think for us it's mainly the uptake. Like we as Booking.com, we deliver products that are ready-made with the state-of-the-art tech to our partners. For instance, that you are able to travel and you're able to speak in your own language when communicating with an accommodation. And we just give access to those tools and hope that our partners are benefiting from it.